How's it going?
It's good. How about yourself?
Good, good. Thanks everybody for coming out, and thank you, Arjun, for coming out. It really means a lot that you came, and congratulations on the announcement.
Yeah, thank you very much. I didn't know you were a professional deadlifter.
I am not professional by any means. Mert actually was professional, and he deadlifts a lot more than me. So yeah, let's get into it. We just had a huge announcement. Wall Street Journal, I think, broke the news less than an hour ago. You guys are launching tokenized equities on Solana. Tell me more about it, and what does it mean to you?
I think crypto's been pretty interesting over the last 10 years, where we started thinking about from Bitcoin to Ethereum, then we had altcoins. I think one thing that people kind of miss is we've also started getting into this aspect where we're creating walled gardens. And then when you create walled gardens, then the types of products that you can build or the types of products you can innovate on top of it just become harder and harder. And one of the things that we wanted to think about was, great, well, you have this 24/7 on-chain innovation period, but how do you starting to think about what another set of foundational trust layer could be? And obviously, you think about collateral, right? You think about real-world assets, but as a part of real-world assets, you think about equities. And we had launched equities in the US a couple of weeks ago, but 6 months prior, or post-inauguration of President Trump, we wanted to really push and starting to think about what does tokenized equities look like? How do you think about collateral? How do you actually think about forward mobility for folks that are all over the world, not just in the United States?
Yeah, we've seen some attempts at tokenized equities in the past on chain. Can you tell me a little bit more about why now, and maybe how this initiative came about at Kraken?
I think in the past you just had fragmented liquidity, you had fragmented communities, and everyone was trying to again focus on building a product that was walled, which is, it's my experience, you got to come to me, I got to bring the incentives, et cetera, et cetera. And we see this again and again. And we were thinking, okay, well, what's the reverse process? How do we incentivize everyone to participate? And how do we make sure that we can bring liquidity, not just from a place that's one chain or one community, but global liquidity as quickly as possible?
Yeah. I know you've been talking a lot recently about kind of the meteoric rise of stablecoins and how the market cap has exploded. What do you think it's going to take to get tokenized equities to have that same trajectory?
I think, look, it may or may not work today. Our hope is that we can start the movement to have it work. But I think what's more important is that, what does it look like for someone to have access to collateral, capital, tokenized equities in Brazil? How do we get in India? How do we get in Indonesia? How do we get in Vietnam? How do we get in Turkey? And I think most of the conversations has been mostly around yield or sort of speculation, and sort of putting those two together and getting to a place where you can memorialize. Again, I go back to a foundational trust layer on top of a trust layer that we already have. I think it could be a game changer. And so, in the past, things haven't worked. In the internet ecosystem or the fintech ecosystem, it didn't work 15 years ago or 20 years ago, but we keep trying, we keep pushing. And I think between us, for what Solana is doing and what's Kraken doing, and what Bakkt is going to be able to help us sort of push through as an issuer, I think we can at least make the first step towards getting this out there in a way that's enablement for everybody, but not just for one company.
Yeah. So let's fast forward and say that the product really takes off. You see a ton of traction, a ton of liquidity, and that X stocks really kind of become the standard. How does this fit into Kraken's strategic roadmap longer term?
Look, at Kraken, we started off as an exchange, and in order to be able to promote Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, stablecoins, we just continue to build out infrastructure. And so similar to how you think about Amazon, built Amazon Web Services for their retail, or what you've seen other companies start to build out, web microservices in order to be able to facilitate their core. We're doing the same thing. And I think last year I was talking through this to a set of investors, even to the other ecosystem, and they kind of just laughed and they said, well, that's not how fintech works, but it does. And it's not how financial innovation works, but it does. The whole point of crypto is that we're able to see things very transparently. It's decentralized. It is open source. You can innovate as quickly as possible. And there's no reason why companies like us can't morph to do that, where we're building a set of microservices, building a set of micro products that can continue to scale out because we're wanting to build the best products, not create walled gardens.
Can you tell me more about what the user experience is going to look like? What's different this time around with tokenized equities and Kraken? What people will be able to do on day one with these assets?
Yeah, I think take Kraken out for a second. What you want to be able to do is take your collateral, whatever it is, anywhere you want. So no borders. It's 24 hours. You don't have to ask anyone for permission. And you can take that collateral, and ideally, you can do something with it. So if you are looking to go get credit, you're looking to go get loans, if you're looking to pledge that collateral, I think like that's how we foresee what the world can look like. And we just want to have Kraken help enable that more than anything else. And it doesn't have to happen on our platform. It can happen on any platform. It can happen on Coinbase. It can happen on Binance. It can happen on any other competitive landscape. It can happen on a DEX. It can happen on Radium on Solana. It just doesn't matter to us. We could just list out every protocol that's out there. Ideally, it should be free and accessible to anyone, and that's what we want to be able to help enable. And I think it's kind of funny, we just made the announcement a couple minutes ago, but we've already got the XDocs meme coin going. So I think part of it is setting the movement up for success.
Nice. Yeah, it's been great working with you guys. I think the appreciation for actual open source ethos and commitment to open finance versus building a permission walled off garden to start with is what really set Kraken apart. So that's why we're excited to work with you.
Yeah, same here.
Nice. Can you tell me more about kind of how you see the internet capital markets trend playing out? What sort of equity assets you expect to see on chain, maybe besides the obvious ones?
Look, I think I'm forgetting the gentleman's name prior who talked about internet capital markets, just capital markets, how many companies there were 20 years ago versus what we see today. I think, look, in every market there's a power law. In every liquidity market there's a power law. And so, but what you want to be able to have is that the long tail can continue to build, continue to innovate, so that they can be a part of that power law, right? We talk about the Mag 7s, who knows, might be the Mag 20, might be the Mag 3. Doesn't really matter. I think it's more about what can we help enable to promote innovation at the end of the day. And so the way I foresee what the future is going to look like is we shouldn't be thinking and talking about thousands or millions. We should be thinking and talking about what innovation looks like on the billions. Like there should be billions of tokens. There should be billions of ways in which we can innovate on top of that. There's no reason why collateral should be defined as like one aspect of how we see the world. And I think a lot of people make fun of meme coins and altcoins, but it's a form of expression. Like we're trying again and again, and we're getting into a way where like it's becoming more standard to talk about it, where it is permissionless. Like I can just walk around with it. And so when I think about the traditional apps that are out here in the US, we think about Square or Robinhood, Wealthfront, et cetera. But everything is just very specific to those applications. And so I want to be able to send or move around with a token, whatever it might be. And so I know we use these terms, digital tokens, digital commodities, digital securities. But I think what's more important is that there's a foundation. I can take that foundation. It's secure. It's mine. And I should be able to take that anywhere I want, like at any given time. And I should be able to use that as a secure way for me to transact in whatever way that transaction is going to be. So if I want to buy a house, that'd be great. If I want to lend it, that'd be great. If I want to pledge it, that'd be great. If I just want to loan it to you right after this, I should be able to do it.
Nice. I totally agree. I think, I remember back in 2021, before there were NFTs on Solana, and I remember our doors getting knocked down, and it was mostly like traditional artists. And there was a question of, is there going to be a market for all of the art in the world to come on chain? And what we found pretty quickly was there were millions of other artists that came on chain that didn't know they were artists until there was a global marketplace for their
That's
art.
right. Yeah.
And then we saw the same thing with meme coins. Like, it wasn't just internet memes. There became, internet capital market native memes that, explored the design space, and there's tens of thousands of new launches. So this is the first time since, that 2021 period where our doors are getting knocked down in the same way by people that just want to launch things on chain. And I kind of expect to see the same thing. There's going to be, probably 100x the number of assets that people are expecting to come on chain. What do you guys think about at Kraken as far as what Kraken's role is in that long tail of assets? Where are you going to position yourself strategically?
Look, there was a promise a long time ago around what it meant to be an anything exchange, which basically means that you could provide anything liquidity. I think we want to help provide that. We want to help enable it. And it doesn't have to happen in the way in which people see traditional markets, traditional exchanges. We think NYSE, NASDAQ, but we should be thinking about global liquidity and access for everybody. So I take a step back. You said NFTs. NFTs in the industries is thought about as a negative Nancy, like it's like a no-no word. And we're starting to use other forms of expression to talk about the same thing. But the point was that we tried. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. We took a step back, and now how do we take 10 steps forward? There's no reason why NFTs can't work. Again, like we use the word NFT, but like non-fungible token. What does that mean? It just means that we can tokenize something, and we can move it with us. And do we want to be able to provide liquidity for it? Do we want to be able to provide security for it? Do we want it to be yours? That's more important than anything else. So, like, I'm excited about a day where the house that I live in, well, I don't own a house, but in a house that I could live in the future, that I can own and I can walk around with it. There's an asset somewhere. It could be art, it could be jewelry, whatever it is that it's mine, no matter where I take it. And I think that's a promise of what crypto was, and it could still be. But like, how do we start from a place where it's more natural for us to think about it? We think about real estate, we think about equities. And so when we think about the ways in which equities are broken today, as my colleague put it, what are ways in which we can fix that aspect? And we can think about what real-time settlement looks like, real-time security looks like, and real-time non-permissionless looks like.
Awesome. There's a ton of consumer product builders here, people that have built apps that have gone viral before. They've been standing on the sidelines of crypto. They're now looking at crypto as ready for prime time. There are policymakers here that are looking to enable those founders to build new products. What advice do you have for maybe a small garage team that is looking at X stocks being issued by Kraken and wondering what they can build now?
Look, I think the way we should be thinking about any of this is similar to how we think about open source. Keep pushing us, to be honest, with what we're trying to do on behalf of the community. Same for you guys at Solana. And what are ways in which we can help vertically integrate some of their innovation, but at the same time help enable them to be successful. It doesn't have to be just us. So I think everyone has a tendency to think, hey, the big guys or the bigger chains or the centralized exchanges are zero-sum. We're not. Like, if the garage door developers can be successful, it makes us more successful. And I think what you see for a lot of the chains that are out there, they are, or at least from the centralized exchanges, and we've taken a different approach, is that you got to build with us, you can't build anywhere else. That's not how we think. One of the reasons why we're partnering with you guys is to be able to show that it's not about being zero-sum. We have our own, we're contributing to the Ink Layer 2 ecosystem. We're working with other folks. We want them to be just as successful, and we don't have to launch our innovative products only on our chains. We can launch it with you guys. We can launch it with a bunch of other folks as well. So the more we can do that, the more we can promote that a developer can be successful with us, I think we all win.
All right. Well, that's our time, but I just wanted to thank you again for coming out, and thanks for the announcement, and really, really excited about the product launch. And thank you all for coming. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, man.